Hey everyone and welcome back. Now in today's video we'll be discussing about the Consul ACLs. Now understanding this topic is very important, specifically related to the security part of Consul as well as for the production environment deployments. So let's get started. So one of the biggest challenge that we have been facing in Consul as of now is the lack of authentication part. And this is the primary reason why to get around this we used to go ahead and whitelist our public IP within the firewalls. So that is great, but one of the challenge here is that many of us has dynamic IPs, including me. So after every router restart, your public IP will change and you will have to again go ahead and add a new IP within the firewall setting. So this can be a little tiresome. Now the main challenge here is the authentication. Now to overcome this, Consul makes use of a feature called as access control list to secure the access towards the user interface API as well as the CLI. So if you look into this screenshot, if you want to go ahead and look into the data which is associated with the services, it is first asking you to log in, and only after you go ahead and log in will you be able to see the data. So that is what can be achieved with the help of access control list. Now this is a very big topic by its own, but let's keep it simple and we'll move step by step. So first let's go ahead and see on how we can go ahead and enable the access control list in Consul so that we can set up the authentication part first. So there are two primary steps that are needed to go ahead and enable the ACLs in Consul. First step is you have to go ahead and add a appropriate ACL parameters within the agent configuration file. So this is how it looks like. So if you'll see under the ACL, enable is true. The default policies deny, will be discussing more about this, and the enable token persistence is true. So this is a very simple configuration file. You add it as part of your configuration directory and restart your Consul, and that's about it. You will have to then go ahead and do authentication if you want to see the data here. Now, the second important step is to go ahead and create a bootstrap token. So in step 1, you had gone ahead and you had enabled ACL. Now it is asking you to log in. Now how you will log in without any token? So that is what you do in the second step, where you go ahead and create a bootstrap token. So the command is Consul ACL bootstrap. So this basically gives you the token. So under the secret ID you see, this is the token which has a global management role, which basically provides unrestricted privileges, and this you can go ahead and use to get started. So let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and enable the ACLs in Consul. So currently I'm within the Consul 01 instance. So let's quickly go to etc consul.d directory, and this is our configuration directory. So let's go ahead and create a new HCL file called as agent.hcl. And as we are discussing, we'll go ahead and add the ACL specific configuration parameters. So I'll go ahead and add this. Let's do a save. Let me also go ahead and remove the older Consul dir, so a brand new gets generated. So now if you quickly go ahead and do a systemctl status Consul, you should have the Consul up and running. So let me go ahead and add the IP address of Consul here, and immediately here you see it is asking you to log in. So be it key value, be it ACL, be it intention and others, you will first have to log in, and without login you'll not be able to see anything here. So when you click on this login button, it is asking you for a token. So this is the reason why step 2 is also required, where you go ahead and create an initial bootstrap token, which in turn will you be using for creating more tokens at a later stage, but to first go ahead and access the Consul so that you can go ahead and get started. So in order to do that, as we are discussing, you have to do Consul ACL bootstrap. Now one important part to remember is that this not only applies to the GUI, but even for the API as well as the CLI, you will have to go ahead and first authenticate if you want to see any data. So let me give you one example. So from here, if I do a Consul members, you see you're not able to see anything here, primarily because you are not authenticating with the token. So let's go ahead and create our first bootstrap token. So I'll say Consul ACL bootstrap. I'll press enter. So immediately here you see that it is basically giving you the secret ID. So this is something that you need. Along with that, it is also within the description, you see it as a bootstrap token which has a global management related privileges. So this is basically an unrestricted access. So this is something that you should not be giving it to everyone. You can consider it to be an administrator token. So let's go ahead and copy this up, and within the GUI, let me go ahead and log in with the token this time, and you see it works perfectly well. Now in a similar way, if you want to go ahead and log out, you can quickly click a logout button here and you are logged out. So now let's say that you want to go ahead and also run some CLI commands. So you can say Consul members. You will have to specify a token here. And now you see only after you have specified the token will you be able to see the data. So now one of the question that comes is, let's say you want to run multiple commands here. Will you have to specify this token flag all the time? Because this is a little cumbersome way of approaching things. So there's also a different way where you can go ahead and create an environment variable. And once the environment variable is created, you can go ahead and run the command directly without specifying the token all the time. So if you look into our notes section here, this is the first approach where you go ahead and specify the token here. The second approach is where you can go ahead and use the environment variable. The name is Consul HTTP token, and then you have to specify the value. So let me just copy the secret ID. I'll replace here. Let's copy this command and let me paste it here. So now if you just do a Consul members, you see it works perfectly well. That's great. So few important notes, something similar to what we have already discussed. First is that using the token on the command line flag with the hyphen token is not recommended. Instead, you can set it as an environment variable. So the environment variable is Consul HTTP token. Now at a high level overview, I hope you understood the basics of ACL. Now again, ACL is a very big topic by itself. We'll be discussing more in detail about various features related to ACL in the upcoming videos. However, with this, we'll go ahead and conclude today's video.